According to a judicial report released today, the deadly poisoning of former Russian spy in London a decade ago is now being saying that it was probably approved by Vladimir Putin. Alexander Lovchenko, he had turned on his former KGB colleague, Vladimir Putin. In fact, he was working for MI6. He died 3 weeks after drinking what apparently was poison tea. Moscow, of course, has long denied any role in his murder. Joining me now, Eric Erickson, Christian White, and Jessie Jane Duff. Christian, let me go to you on this because there were the actual two agents, KGB agents, who pulled off the actual murder itself. Were also named in this report. They both are back in Russia. One, in fact, a very successful politician. Why do you think the UK will put out a 300-page report implicating Vladimir Putin at this time?
Well, this is the end result of basically a system of delaying the obvious. It was obvious to everyone that when this happened that Putin had ordered this and that Russia had killed this defector. When you kill someone with polonium, there's really no ambiguity as to the fact that a nation state is behind it, and most likely Russia. An isotope of polonium, you need to make that in a reactor or using a cyclotron. It's not a more common poison like ricin, which the Russians also use. So really from the beginning, it was obvious in Washington. When I discussed this with my colleagues at the State Department as it happened, we knew that it was Russia. And what the British government wanted to do was avoid the reality of dealing with the fact that Putin had had someone killed in their own capital.
But, I mean, essentially, though, aren't they saying as much, Eric Erickson? Aren't they saying, hey, he probably gave this order. It was a high-profile killing. And again, this was an agent, a former KGB agent, now working with MI6. Who knows what was at stake?
Right, and we got to remember there's a former Ukrainian prime minister who was also poisoned, survived, greatly disfigured after the poisoning attack. Russia was suspected in that as well. Essentially, the UK ran out the clock and dragged the window out to a point where they assumed no one would care if the report came out. And unfortunately for them, a lot of people did, particularly at a time where Putin is continuing to stretch his legs into Eastern Europe and now into the Middle East. People are very concerned about Putin, and this report's more evidence that they should be concerned.
Yeah, a lot of pressure now and within the UK for the UK government to follow up on this. But I got to tell you, Jessie Jane, Vladimir Putin has thumbed his nose at the West, whether it was Georgia, Ukraine, Middle East, and it feels like his ambitions could be even greater.
Well, Putin has made it very clear that he doesn't care what the rest of the world thinks about him. If you go against him, he's sending a clear message that he will either take you out or find someone who will. It shows that the Soviet Union is alive in his heart, and he wants to reunite that effort, and we've always suspected this. For 10 years, we have known that Putin was behind this, and for this information to come out now, no surprise.
All right, guys, thank you very, very much.